The media power, it's huge right now. Everyone has it on their own hands now. If you want to talk to someone, you just record a video. There's millions of people will watch your video and hear you out. They might not agree with you, but at least they listen to you. They have an idea about this crime.
So hi everyone, welcome. I am so excited to be in a room with you four today because you are four of the most extraordinary campaigners and activists that I've ever been in a room with. And we are here for Smiley News' 6th episode of Speak Up, where we raise our voices to talk about the issues that matter most in the world and how we can solve them, most importantly of all. So to kick off, this talk today is about gender equality. Not any gender equality, but intersectional gender equality. So could you each tell me, what does intersectional gender equality or intersectional feminism mean for you? So Zohreh, if you want to start.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me. First of all, I would like to say, first I consider myself as a human, and so as a human being, I think everybody should be equal, respect of their gender, their color, their ethnicity, anything. And but unfortunately, we have been lived in the man-dominated society for centuries, and where the right of the woman's been denied. So this is for getting back to our human nature. I think we need to have this, to women's empowerment, women to be come back to their main role in the society, and this is important that we know our values and to make the others to know the women's values as a human being and as an equal human being.
Fantastic start. And Mallika, do you want to explain what gender equality, intersectional gender equality would mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's Mallika, by the way. Sorry.
Mallika.
Mallika. Yes, no worries.
Sorry.
But it happens. For me, intersectional gender equality is this idea of like no one being left behind. Like, I don't know about you. Like, I think we have to kind of acknowledge the uniqueness of oppression that comes with intersectional feminism. Like the oppression that is faced by white women is not going to be the same experiences that, for example, black and brown trans folk have.
Say that for those in the back. Carry on.
Thank you. But no, honestly, but I think it's we all have such different experiences. Like, it's amazing to be surrounded by such fabulous people, and we all have the same common like problem, but we've experienced it in such different ways, and that still doesn't mean that there's any sort of like gender inequality. Like, we've all faced it, but it's just, yeah, I don't know, like, we all face it, but in such different ways, and I wish that we could address it in a way that no one else is left behind, and we like actually use equity in that way. Yeah.
Any other thoughts? Anything you want to add on that? You two?
That literally just transcended really well. So I'm Majestic Marvina. I'm an African. If you look at it as an onion, there are different layers of who my identity belongs to. So that means, first, I'm an African woman. When you see me, my privilege is different from those of other black women. So I have to acknowledge that I have a dark or pretty dark skin girl privilege, which when I was challenged by that, I actually had to learn that my experience cannot be the same as all other women experiences. So creating an equitable access or an equitable reflection of different struggles and being an ally to women that don't look like me, that might have a different shade, that might have a different story. So that could be LGBT plus. They could also be, FGM children. They could be, there's so many layers, because it's almost like looking at your identity, sense of belonging, and being able to say, feminism doesn't look like me, womanism looks like me a little bit because it puts women of colour at the heart of the conversation. It looks like at all those intersectional barriers where our culture infused with our heritage, infused with
Absolutely.
the oppression and lack of opportunity or awareness, but we still rise and we still stand. And then we sit beautifully next to the younger generation who will be able to explore what would intersectionality mean to you.
I think intersectionality is gender equality means differently to everyone, but what would we say? We agree on one thing. I do not want to be before you. I do not want to be more than you. I want to be equal to you. No matter your gender, your race, your class, your sexuality, we are the same. I think it's all about fairness and justice for everyone. For me, I think what I want is safe places for the girls. For example, in Middle East, they facing child marriage, which is a huge crime that they've been raping these kids under the name of marriage and covering it with religion, covering it with culture. So they put boundaries for you to not cross, and they start blaming you for disrespecting the culture because they covered it with culture. You cannot speak about it, you cannot discuss about it. I think what we are looking for is basic rights, which is these girls to live their childhood, to have education, to only worry about her homework or what she's doing, next plan for tomorrow with her, with her friends, not to worry that I have to be a wife tomorrow, I have to act like a wife tomorrow when she's 11, 12. Unfortunately, we see this every day. Every 1 minute, there is girls get married off and their future being sold off, and if they refuse, they will be punished by domestic violence. They might disappear as well, some of them being killed. So what we're asking for me, I think it's really basic rights, that we only want to live in safe environment and make sure the authority is protecting us. Unfortunately, the laws in Yemen, for example, my country, do not protect these girls from child marriage. There's no law to protect her. So even if she speak up, the only people that will protect her is the social media, and if they put pressure on her. And that's how I was saved from child marriage, because of the pressure of the media, not because of the law. There was no law to protect me. So the media power, it's huge right now. Everyone has it on their own hands now. If you want to talk to someone, you just record a video. There's millions of people will watch your video and hear you out. They might not agree with you, but at least they listen to you. They have an idea about this crime, child marriage. They have an idea about honor crimes, which is happening in Middle East as well. So I think the power of media is really spreading what's gender equality right now as well. People using it in very good ways. Even charities does.
And it would be really great to hear a bit more now about each of who you are, each of you, and what your experience of this issue is. If you don't mind talking a little about your experiences of gender inequality.
I think it would be great to just pay tribute to the amazing articulate way you just brought that topic. So I think it would be best for you to just say exactly what your charity is and the work you do and some of the joy you're creating from those conversations.
Thank you for that. So I'm Nada. I was born in Yemen. My story started in 2013. My family were telling me, your wedding is in 3 days. I refused. I ran away. I recorded a video. It went viral. It put pressure on the Ministry of Interior, and they divorced me illegally. I ran away before my wedding, so I was married off. And then
How old were you then?
I was 11 years old. So I refused because not of the knowledge. I was 11. I did not have knowledge of child marriage. To be honest, kids do not have knowledge of anything. They're like a really white board. You draw on it what you want, and that's what they were trying to draw on my board. They were trying to draw on my board that I'll have my own house, I'll have a dress, I'll have wedding. But the victims I saw, while they're offering me that, I've seen the victims. My auntie died at the age of 14, committing suicide by burning herself because she was facing domestic violence from her husband. She left the dad chapter behind. My sister, refusing child marriage, she did the same. Her life was saved. While she's laying down in bed from the burns on her body, they were offering me that. I was like, you're offering me death. So I ran away, and then my story went viral. My story made of a book, translated to many languages. And then obviously it was I had negative views from other people. I was kidnapped by ISIS for 14 days. I got off from that, and then I made my own charity, Nada Foundation, under the support of the previous Prime Minister of Yemen, his personal support for the charity. And I did many programs. One program to educate girls English for free, because I know this is the language of the world, so they can speak up with it and everyone will hear them. And the other one, Safe Heavens, which is safe places for them when they contact the charity, and social media program. And now I just opened another charity in the UK, and hopefully we're gonna start the programs. But I really would like to hear your story of it. I'm very interested. We had a conversation before. I think before we started, we had a conversation. I really would like to hear.
Wait, who now?
Yeah.
So for me, in terms of background, so I'm a child of, so my mum experienced domestic abuse and violence when I was younger, and like it's very much when you grow up in like an honor culture like that, you don't really understand that what you go through is terrible or what you go through is wrong. I also experienced sexual abuse in that environment at a very young age, from about 7. So from that, I didn't understand as well, when you go through things like this, once you escape, my mum was lucky enough to escape through Women's Aid with us, and honestly, it's incredible the life she's made for herself, but it was difficult, again, within the culture of like, Pakistani women do not go anywhere without a husband. Like, it's like if you make it on your own, it's very unheard of. And yeah, so for me as well, growing up in that kind of culture, I also discovered I was queer, so love that for me. I mean, truly a blessing, but has been very difficult to manage.
It must be difficult.
I feel like I mean, I don't know about you guys, but with like culturally, like being anything to do with like LGBTQ plus
and spirituality and sexuality at the same time, it's like you don't want peace, you want problems.
I know, yeah, it's just like, ask for this, like I just like pounding it on. But
so how did it go trying to overcome all those?
Well, in terms of that, so when I went to university, I finally understood that there was things that I could do. So I before the charity I work for now, I was a lecturer, and I did a lot of one of the youngest in the UK.
Wow.
What did you used to teach?
Psychology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so so I taught psychology, and pretty much my work was trying to decolonize and diversify the curriculum as much as I could. I did research on queer people of color and their experiences with sexual trauma, which is very, very interesting, like the findings you get. So hopefully if I can release that at some point, then that would be amazing. But now I work with Integrate, which is a genuinely youth-led charity. They're incredible. They work on things to do with combating FGM, any sort of gender and racial equality issues. Basically, it's social impact that's directed by the young people. And I mean that in the sense that I've got young people who are my boss. Like, it's amazing.
That's called voice and influence there, man. And that's you being an ally to children and young people. And I think sometimes people don't understand the importance of what allyship looks like. So while you were talking in my head, I wanted to just kind of hear, how can I be an ally to whatever you're doing?
Oh, well, we
all of you, really, because I think that's one of the I think it would be very important when we're saying our story. What can people do to be an ally to us? And an ally is so simple. Is to act on the inequality that you've heard us speak about today. And the other L is to learn and unlearn your own unconscious bias. Listen, I'm a Chelsea fan. I've got biases, for days, And if you're not a Chelsea player, I might have a different views of you. So I consciously have to unlearn my own biases.
Absolutely.
And the other L is to listen. I mean, like, actively listen. So hence why when you were talking, I was actively listening to the things you were doing. And the why is to yield your privilege. We all have privilege. Like,
Absolutely.
you talked about the power of social media. You talked about, you know, the ability of just being proud of your identity, but knowing the struggle of the intersectionality. You've talked about some of the amazing work, and I think I'm going to come back to that, but it would be great to then say, how do we yield our privilege and turn it into power?
Absolutely.
That would be fantastic if you want to, because I know you two as well have incredible stories. So, if you want to integrate how it can be possible for people to be an ally into that. Yeah.
Agreed.
Mallika, if you want to go first.
Well, I mean, in that case, like with this, like our charity pretty much helped, but I think we had one of the fastest growing petitions of all time with ending, like, as in the sense of like combating FGM by making it legal for FGM to be taught as training, like about what FGM is, how to prevent it, like in the sense of like where you can go for help and all of these kinds of things, for that to be taught in schools. So not just for young people, for teachers, because I mean, a lot of the teachers in the UK anyway, it's majority white. So how are you supposed to disclose things like that to a teacher who's not of your culture, who's not of your ethnicity or race? It can be really difficult. So I mean, for me, a lot of it was like coming into this and realizing that I've had my privilege of, you know, actually having education, and being able to make that accessible for the youth is so important. I feel like young people are so much more smarter than we give them credit for, and when you can, like, honestly, like when you can give them like access to that knowledge in a way without having to use all the big words, they can do so much. They can do so much, and they're our future.
Agree. Yes,
our future.
Definitely agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Marvina, you work with youth too, don't you? Do you want to talk a bit about what work you've been doing around gender and inequalities?
At the moment, I'm doing one of the first racial trauma fellowships, looking at health inequalities and the impact of racial trauma on health inequalities from zero till death. Going through the life course process of it, in the UK, we don't look at how racism might make us sick. From the way we live, from the addresses that we stay, from the access, from climate injustice that makes us have to come. There's so many reasons that we end up in the UK. But when we then come here, what's the system's way of welcoming us in here? So at the moment, I am from Leeds. I live in Leeds, grew up in London. And I'm looking at how do I improve the population board and tackle some of the health inequalities that we face. We've had the same conversations over and over again. And I know most people will be like, Marvina, but we all know racism affects us. No, but I'm saying it actually changes your DNA. There's something called post-traumatic slave syndrome. So that means even being enslaved has changed how we are withering.
It became an issue in the pandemic as well.
It is, you know what?
Different people disproportionately.
Exactly. So then imagine you can talk about sexual trauma, you can talk about work trauma, but racial trauma that we go through every day, you know, microaggressions, little bits from time to time. People talk about women's life expectancies and all that jazz. And then I think about it, what women are you talking about though? Are you talking about women that look like me? Or the fact that I have to acknowledge that I've got the pretty dark-skinned girl privilege. Because I'm aesthetically pleased. When someone said that to me, at first I wanted to get really defensive, like, what? A pretty dark-skinned girl privilege, what the? I don't get anything for free because I'm dark-skinned. No, but I have the privilege to be on this platform right now. So I have to be able to acknowledge that privilege. So when I see my potential allies, you know, I'm not talking about nice white people. You know, I'm not racist white people. You know, I've got a friend that has a dog, that has a cat, that has a brother that is black white people. That I went to Africa or I went to Pakistan to do some charity with no experience white people. I'm not talking about those. That's my biggest phobia, nice white people. If you're hearing this, nice white people are just nice. They don't like to have challenging conversations. They don't like, well, what did you expect me to do? Do something. Because then your silence becomes consent.
Honestly, silence is compliance. Like it's being complicit in all of the things that are going wrong in the world. Like saying nothing is doing something as well as absolutely.
I'd like to hear her as well about it as well. We haven't heard you.
Yes, my name is Zohreh. Actually, I have been struggling for freedom and democracy and equality for over 5 decades. I am young, oldest of you all, but I have experienced dictatorship and inequality when I was very young. I was 9 when 3 of my uncles, both all very young, arrested, one executed, one killed under the torture, and another one was in prison for 7 years. So it was my motivation to stand against the dictatorship. Then as I go further, I realized that I understand about the inequality, because I find out why they are they become political prisoners and so on. So I understood that there's how much inequality in the society goes, about the not only economic inequality, about the gender equality, about the the ethnical inequality, about lots of the problems that society was dealing with. And so I started from very young, from the childhood, to stand against this inequality. And in that time, in the sphere, it was showing that, in the surface was showing, yes, the country is, women, they are free, they go, it's like a Western country and so on. But in reality, if you wanted to read a book, you would be told off. If you wanted to do something serious, you would be told off. You would be ended to the prison. So we had lots of the women, they arrested, and they've been tortured or they've been executed. And but it showed a path to young people like me in that time. So we start saying no to the dictator. And we managed to. I was very much involved in the, during the revolution in Iran in 1979. But unfortunately, although we won the revolution, we had the revolution, but our revolution was hijacked by the Ayatollahs and by the fundamentalism, which it was. Then we experienced another kind of the dictatorship, which was this fundamentalism and religious dictatorship. We found it much worse than the previous one. Not justify the other one, but this one is worse, because for everything they do, they justify the name of God. They call themselves as a representative of God. So this is this mullahs, ayatollahs. They are, their main ideology is a misogynist. Their fight is against women, because they know that by putting pressure on women, they can keeping them in their own prison. That means to getting their individuality, they getting their confidence, and then they can keep them another half, which are the men's, in their own prison, because they put those as a prisoners of their, because all men, that means a husband, a brother, a father, they have to just control their child, their daughter, their wife, their sister, so they wouldn't be arrested for not having a proper hijab, not for this, not for that. So that means they control women from both sides, one by the government, the another one by the men's in the society.
I'm so sorry, I'm just 21. I can't imagine. You said you've been, I think we had a conversation before. She said she's haven't been in her country in 34 years. How was women doing at that time? Like, I wasn't born at that time, but I mean, I really wonder, it must be more difficult than it is now.
Yeah,
with
actually,
no social
in that
media.
time, when there was no social media, and then when we saw that Khomeini said that, first of all, there's a compulsory hijab, Although people like me, we had our own hijab, which during the Shah, we told that to not have it. Khomeini was coming and saying you have to have it. So women of Iran start struggle. They start the rally and saying, look, we haven't made the revolution for this. We wanted freedom and democracy. No one to tell us what to wear, what to not wear. And this is the basic right. And this is only just a small part of the struggle of the women. Because more than that, it's, the women, they cannot be a certain education, they cannot be a judge, they cannot be, president, they cannot be, women without their husband's permission cannot go to the funeral of his father. If they want to divorce, they cannot have the
right
they cannot keep their own child.
Yeah.
There is no economical, right for them. So there is lots of the problem. There are women's trafficking is very much high in Iran. Women, they sell their body to be able to feed their children, their family. And so there is no basic right for women. But there are more right for women in just one place that I experienced. Because I was against this fundamentalism and their regulations, I was arrested very early days after Iran's revolution, just a year and a half. After revolution, I was only 19.
Wow.
And I was one of the first ones that, as a political prisoners, women political prisoners in Iran. So from the first day, I've been tortured. I've been kept for over 2 years in the prison. But the thing is that because of the situation, there have been lots of the uprisings going on. So we had many people, thousands of people arrested since 1980. And many of them, they were women. The young girls, as age of 13, those, because of the Iran's revolution, they've been like a spring, they've been released. So they came to the street, they asked for their rights, and they start educating themselves and taking the commitment and the responsibility in the society. And because of that, the 13-year-old, 14-year-old age girls in that time, they were suddenly become like as a knowledge after like a 20, 25. So
Auntie, I just sorry. Culturally, we don't call people there.
yes.
Now, when you're hearing stuff, we want to say thank you. I want to give you your flowers right now and just say, you're just like literally a super hero. I'm loving this her story here because
She's got a lot.
You've gone through so much, but then
at a young age as well.
If you then go back and then just to look at now what we're hearing around Iran, I remember there's that song, "Baby Calm Down," which is a Nigerian song, with
Rema?
Rema.
That was it, yes.
And a lot of the girls are now singing that on social media to try and get like people to see what's happening in Iran now. So if we then like almost look at, you went through that how many years ago, and now what are we going through now?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's much hope for
is there hope?
Iranian women's
Exactly.
uprising?
We know that because of those struggles in those days, over 120,000 people are executed in Iran. More than a third of them, they are women. Women, they've not been killed during the war, or they've been standing and saying no to the fundamentalism. If I explain about the way of the torture and how many of women they killed under the torture, they could save their lives just by saying yes to the Ayatollahs, just by giving up their struggle.
rights.
Many of them, they were asking just for one word to say yes, and they not execute them. But they just kept, saying no, because they knew that if they say yes, this fundamentalism will stay until centuries. But with this struggle, we managed to bring Khomeini from they say that from the moon to the well. That means because of those sacrifice, because of those struggles in this many years, there are women as 13 years been executed to 75 years old. I have been witness for that. Many of my friends, my relatives, been executed. I was just lucky; I was managed to escape. But they were raping. It was a fatwa by the Khomeini, the Ayatollah, saying that if you execute the virgin girls, they will go to heaven. To prevent from this, they were raping them, by the guards, and they were saying that we had a temporary marriage. And after they execute this woman, they send in the box of the chocolate to the family, saying that we made sure that your daughter wouldn't go to the heaven, and she got married, So we are talking about this sort of advocacy. But the Iranian women, they stand against it. They paid the price for the freedom and democracy and for the equality. And now what we see, because of the thank you for the media. Thank you for the media. Yes.
And the media, I will mention this, when happened in Iran, the authorities knows the power of media, so they cut off their Wi-Fi when the people were angry and protesting. They cut the Wi-Fi from them for 1 week. I remember this. My friend was very worried about her family in Iran, and they know the power of media. It wasn't there before to show the reality of Iranian women in Iran, but now you can use it. And even though on top of that, people were trying their best to show the reality even without Wi-Fi, to post it or send it to someone else or try to steal some Wi-Fi. It was really hard on them, and they are really not giving up. And that's why I say to young people, never give up, because if women gave up, they wouldn't have the right to vote. If women were silent, now we would be in the same, which is every woman is a housewife and doing the duties for the man and just cleaning for them and just raising their kids. But women fed up with it, so they start speaking about it and really protest about it. And now that's why we have feminism, we have people speaking, and we have, I know not all the rights, but at least we have rights to speak about it and put pressure on the change makers. And honestly, all the love for the Iranian women in Iran, they must go through a lot. And other countries, Pakistan, Yemen, Middle East, unfortunately, the media who only can deliver their voices, even their own law cannot protect them.
And I think media plays quite a large role in your campaign work at the moment, doesn't it? And it would be fantastic to hear about all your campaign work next, and hear about not only everything you've overcome, which is just awe-inspiring. I cannot imagine the level of strength you hold within you as a white woman with privilege of being white. It's just, I can't even begin to explain how honoured I am to hear how your journey through this and what you're doing now is incredibly impressive. So could you tell me a bit more about social media and how you're using that in your campaign work at the moment?
So I realized the power of media because media saved my life and delivered my voice to the world. The video I published in social media at 2013, it went 8 million views in 3 days, translated to 40 languages. All media was speaking about it, all the global media. So I realized the power of it. So when I moved from Yemen, I realized I had really a chance to live. Why don't I give the same chance to other girls? I wouldn't be just selfish and stay at home. I have the voice. People heard about my story. I can use it in a good way, which is I start speaking in social media, making videos about children's rights, women's rights, and I did have a lot of people who listen to me, and I'm very happy I have a platform. So when I speak, they listen actually to me. Even if you don't disagree with me, I'm happy for you that you listen to what I'm talking about and have a knowledge about it. So I made my foundation as well, which is we just established in the UK. We had it in Yemen, but we just established in the UK. And we have this program, which is our first programs, giving the girls training online, because it's really hard to go to the workplace. They get accused of or they get sexually harassed, especially in Middle East, and the family refuse for them to have to go to work. So we have this campaign that give them what's your skill? Are you good in drawing? So we give them free teachers live, train them, and some videos as well to train them. And when we feel like they're ready to have their own business, we'll create for them website and advertise for their small business. And this is our next campaign for the charity, which is we're working on it still. We just published it 3 months
Sorry,
now.
how old are you?
I'm 21.
You know what, can we just take a moment? Seriously, at 11, you were about to get married off to someone. And then you use social media. So when people keep talking about this Gen Z, listen, put some respect on the young people's voices, because they're doing some mad things. this young girl is sitting next to me, and I'm actually having goosebumps, like thinking like, at that age, I was probably watching like, Powerpuff Girls, like trying to figure out what I am. And you at 21, you're actually checking your privilege. You're actually becoming an ally to so many other communities.
Yeah.
You're actually pouring back. You've got one in Yemen, and you've got another organization or charity in the UK. If you guys don't know what it is to be an ally, figure it as simple as, how do I pour into her? Because burnout is real. And a lot of young people are having to step into this space to save themselves, when we, as their elders, as their adults, as those who know better, we should be supporting them, saying, okay, and I know people will be like, I don't have any power, I don't have access, I don't have this, I don't have that. You have your voice, you have your phone, you have something.
Phone is the most powerful thing. I agree with you. It's all the power there. You can put a pressure, you can change a whole law with the phone in your hand. I think because of that, because of the work of the charities and organizations, they put pressure on the government. The UK just put on February a law to prevent child marriage before 18. It was 16 allowed. In the UK, we're speaking about the UK. So in Saudi Arabia now, because of the pressure and the spreading awareness and social media, it's not allowed child marriage. Egypt is not allowed child marriage. And this is new. This is a couple of years now. It hasn't been long since it changed. And I do see changes. I would say this, I'm not supposed to be at the age of 11 defending myself. I was supposed to worry about school. I was supposed to worry what's my next toy is. I wasn't supposed to worry how am I gonna save myself and run away to my uncle and try to show in social media. I shouldn't be in social media, but you know what? This generation had fed up with it, and they had enough from stealing their dreams and just being sold for a couple of dollars under the name of marriage. And that's why we stand up now, because we need young people to stand up and speak up, because we will do a lot of progress if we do it earlier.
It's not just young people we need. We also need adults. We need our white.
We need everyone.
We need everybody to do their part. In Nigeria, child marriage is still going on in Nigeria, actually, in the northern area. I'm Nigerian, by the way, and for me, I find it so saddening to hear. I remember for my 33rd birthday, being a Christian, I wanted to go back to Nigeria to give back. And I did stuff around period poverty, and I did stuff around
Tell us more,
going to Yola and Jos and Bawachi. These are just to go and listen, because I wanted to be an ally to those girls. I didn't have an it was just, I want to see what I could do. So your allyship journey is down to your own self. So mine is checking my privilege and realizing, okay, you can afford to get on a plane. You know some people back in Africa, okay? You know people in Nigeria. Okay, let's go. Let's speak to the imams. Let's speak to the doctors. Let's see, do you understand when a child gets married that early and then a child then has a child? Do you understand what tears can happen? And if that child has gone through FGM, oh my gosh, speaking as a FGM survivor, it's a lot of trauma when you look at that conversation. You were talking about the UK. Racial trauma and colonization has actually meant that there are things that our colonial masters had done to us that has left a stain in our countries of origin that we are still feeling now. So there's certain laws, there's certain behaviors. So in the UK, they were allowed to marry children back then. So when we got colonized, what's gonna happen? It was norm. It was normalized. And that's not normalized.
The government as well has to understand that you cannot just give a car to a person without instruction how to turn on the car and work it. It's the same with the law. You just put a law and that's it. You don't educate people about the importance of this. They can play it easily. They can marry these kids with religion. They don't have to go tell the government. I married her at the age of 13, and it happens in the UK. It still happens. It happens in every country. So when you put a law, there is no way you put a law without awareness. Like, there is more awareness of not using your phone while driving than child marriage. While you're raping kids, you're saying porn are not allowed before the age of 18. but you're practicing it on a kid. You're practicing it, which is child marriage. I know people will be like, oh, why are you talking like that? This is
But it's the reality of it. It's the
You're
reality.
literally doing porn on kids and raping them, literally. And like, people are not understanding the importance of this, and the government has really to put some leaflet, won't cost them a lot, leaflet saying how horrible child marriage is, and educate people, and repeating that information will make them aware about the consequences of this. You don't have to be influencer to influence people. You can be watching this video and really know what's the consequences of child marriage, and talk to your kid, talk to your daughter, talk to your son, and really educate them. Be your own influencer, and you'll make a huge changes. We need you. Like, we need every single person to change the idea of women, that woman is not only body, woman has a soul, woman has the same right as you. I want to go work feeling safe. I want to do and wear what I want to wear without being judged off. I want to look the way I want to look. I want to choose my life. I want to choose my partner. I have the same right as you. So we really have to put more pressure and campaigns towards this. And I really want to know what actually your next campaign.
I would love to know about what that would look like for a woman, a girl who's LGBT plus, or like someone from that community. Then imagine then you're being married off when you already know your sexuality, and yet you can't say anything. So what are some of the things that your campaign is doing around that?
I think.
There?
Okay, so well, in that case, the charity I work for, Integrate, we basically, in terms of like the social impact that our young people do, we kind of do it through a creative approach, because I think a lot of ways that people can actually understand things is through creativity. So we've done it through podcasts, we've done it through like conferences where the young people are the speakers, like talking about their experiences. Our most popular form of creativity is making short films on gender and racial equality issues. We shot 3 this summer, which
Big up.
honestly, we get the young people to talk about their lived experiences through workshops, and then from those workshops we get a script writer to write something around it. We get the young people themselves to act in those films. So not only is it just like talking about these big topics, we're getting the young people involved at every step of the process. We're having young people directing scenes. It's amazing, honestly.
It's similar to something we do in Leeds.
Really?
So I do run an organisation called Angel of Youth, and I'm also one of the co-founders for United for Black Life, which supports a lot of the black-led organisations in the UK. If you've ever heard of a campaign called Kill the Bill, we're not talking about killing the police, we're talking about killing the police and crime sentencing bill, the Nationality and Borders bill. And one of the important things that we had to do is I focus on love, hate, create. What do you love doing? I don't really care about what you studied. Tell me what you love.
Me?
Yeah.
What do I love? I love art, I love poetry, I love any sort of creative move that shares your experience in a way that other people can understand without having to use all the big words. That's my whole brand.
Then what do you hate in society?
What do I hate? When people don't get it.
Okay. So So if I said use what you love to fix what you hate, what would you create?
Well, honestly, the only way I can say it is what my charity do.
Exactly.
So
literally, that's the model that I just.
Yes, love that.
For every campaign you've seen Marvina do, if anyone that knows any of the campaigns I've been involved in, whether that's Justice for Chris Carver, whether that's and again, I am a big ally. I want to be a better ally to the Iranian community. And I asked for people to use their platform. I remember me just standing there say her name, Mahsa. You just have to, because the things that come for me today, and if I don't choose to support the Iranian community tomorrow, it's me that you're gonna come. It doesn't matter.
You're gonna be next.
It doesn't matter.
So what can we do, or what can people around the world do? Maybe using social media, as Nada was talking about, or what's the pressure point for the government in Iran and women's rights there?
Yes, actually, what is important is first of all making a pressure groups, get united, be the voice. It's very important, to be the voice. Because when I was in prison, and they were used to tell me that you can scream, you can say that, you can, but nobody. You try to be a hero, but nobody will see you, and nobody will hear you. And
You are a hero.
And
You are
Incredible, honestly.
not only
Absolutely.
actually the heroes, they are the ones that, like somebody, Maryam Akbari Munfaredzadeh, she has lost 3 of her brother and 1 of her sister been executed by regime, but she was sent because she just campaigned against them. Ask why you killed my brothers and sister, and because of that, she was given a sentence for 15 years. And she has got 2 kids. She's been in prison like 14 years until now, and the next year she should be released. But again, they have added another 2 years because she's still, even from the prison, she's campaigning. We have got the women, they are at the moment, they are like Zainab Jalalian, a Kurdish lady, for many years in prison. We have got Sepida Ghalian. There are so many women, they are still in prison. And last year from the Mahsa's uprising, which fortunately her voice was, everyone, they were heard about what's happening in Iran. That since then, their women, they start leading the uprising. And their uprisings, in fact, some people, they try to show that this is only women asking for the freedom of the clothing, is that they don't want hijab. But this is a very minimum right of the women, what to choose to wear. The women's right and women's struggle in Iran is far more behind this. They are asking for the freedom, equality. They are saying that they don't want this regime. They want a new life, especially for the young generation. They want to be a new life. They want nobody to tell them how to work, what to wear, what to say. This is, we want the freedom. This is the nature of the human being, to be free. This is what they've been taking from the Iranian people. And this is not, we can see that in that time our voice wouldn't heard, but now we can be the voice for the people of Iran. And I would like to, and people of the Yemen, people of the, Pakistan, women's everywhere. Women's everywhere, they are under the pressure. The degree of is different. The degree of the women's right in UK is different from the women's right in Iran, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Afghanistan. But in reality, nowhere is really equality. And the only solution for this, I believe, that is being women in the leadership, is where that they are, unfortunately, man-dominated societies, not trying to not let it happen. Even in here, if we have a woman prime minister, but the consultant of that is not women, they are men. We want to be, we have to work. Every woman should be work as a ladder to allow another woman to just climb up.
It's like send a lift.
Yes.
We say each one teach one,
Yes.
innit? And send a lift down for the younger ones.
We need to help each other.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't have a competition with each
Compete
other.
for what?
We
Why should we compete?
We should work together, united together, and the more important thing, we should know that we can and we must.
Agreed.
We have against the Iranian regime, which is a misogynist fundamental regime, where women, they not even considered as a second-class citizen. In antithesis of that, the Iranian resistance, they have got, they have chosen a woman as a elected president for the transmission period, and she is now over 30 years. She is a kind of president for National Council of Resistance of Iran, called Maryam Rajavi. And what she has done, she has not said that I am the only one I could do this position. She has managed to bring all other women up to her own level.
That's
I think
incredible.
that's a really
Yes.
fantastic message to
Yes.
end on, that we should
Yes.
all collaborate,
Yes.
that we shouldn't
Yes.
put ourselves above
Yes.
anyone else. We
Yes.
should be offering a
Yes.
ladder, a rung on the
Yes.
ladder up for
Yes.
every other person. Women, trans women,
Yes.
people who are non-binary as well. All of us are in it together.
I want to
in
end on
various
this.
different
I would-
situations.
I would love to talk about the Speak Up campaign around really when it comes to giving a voice and influence to women of color, when it comes to saying what the inequalities does to our health and our well-being. If you combine all the experiences that we have and the trauma that we've gone through, most of the time we are bonding through trauma. The only reason we sometimes know about each other is through the trauma of our experience. But we don't get to talk about the healing. We don't get to talk about that good news around what do we do next? How do we get to this space where we start healing? Because sometimes I actually feel that we go into a space of more giving people trauma porn. And the reason that I, at the moment, with my fellowship, with my research, and with launching the Speak Up campaign, which already has started for black boys, well, now we're going to go into Speak Up campaigns for girls, and saying, okay, speak up, use your voice and influence, say exactly how you want to be treated, say exactly what's missing in your community, and we as allies will listen, we will platform you, we will put you on a, because everybody deserves to have the opportunity. I don't believe in equality no more. I'm all about equity. And before equity can actually take place, you need cultural humility. So a lot of services, including the media, including the government, including policies and funders, in the UK is not innocent. The UK has a plan, like it literally needs to put your money where your mouth is. You have gone in the middle of the night to different countries and destroyed them, pillaged, raped, killed, and done all these horrible things. But guess what? We still rise and we still look. Oh.
Well, thanks so
Agreed.
much for that, Marvina. That is an amazing point to end on. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming along. It's honestly awe-inspiring to hear about the work you're doing to overcome all the challenges that people are facing. And yeah, I think everyone watching should definitely be supporting the campaigns you're running now in order to further the objectives you're pursuing. So thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The final word I can say that is we have learned from Mrs. Rajabi that is we can and we must. That means nothing can stop us from the achieving what it should be done. And women's equality is something that we can reach, and we should do all our work to achieve that.